What is going on, y'all? Baby Bones here with another tutorial, and this one is going to be an air dribble from the ground tutorial. This is a counterpart to the how to air dribble video I just made, so please check that out if you don't know how to air dribble. This is just going to go over some specific examples on how to get started with your air dribble from the ground. And as always, if you do find this video or any of my videos helpful, make sure to subscribe. Let's get into free play and I'll show you how to air dribble from the ground. Real quick disclaimer before we get into the video, you will see me constantly spinning in a lot of these air dribbles. Don't feel bad if you can't do that. You can still air dribble from the ground without constantly spinning. I'll make sure to throw in some examples with and without throughout the entire video. Alright, my babies, as with any air dribble, the first thing we have to talk about is your pop or your setup, and these are especially difficult with air dribbles from the ground for a number of reasons, and there are two factors I want to highlight before we get into the specific scenarios. The first one is going to be your touch, and generally speaking, what you want is to pop that ball more upwards. You want to get under the ball as opposed to hitting the ball out. Because of the nature of air dribbling from the ground, you don't have the momentum you would have to get under it as easily as you would off the wall. So you need to make sure that your first touch is up and not out. The other factor I want you to keep in mind is the momentum of the ball when you hit it. So what this means is you want to wait until the ball doesn't have a lot of momentum or right after it bounces. The reason this factor is very important is because if the ball has a lot of momentum, it's going to throw your car off and it's going to make it very difficult to catch back up to the ball and start the air dribble. It might even make it impossible. So keep these two factors in mind as we go through the specific scenarios and how these factors change within these scenarios. The first scenario I want to go over is a ball coming towards you. I want to cover this one first because I believe it's the easiest and it's the most simple to pop. All you're going to want to do is to slow down completely, wait for the bounce, double jump under the ball, make sure that your nose is pushing primarily up, and then the second after you make that contact, you want to start boosting back up to the ball. Fairly simple, but it can be difficult to learn the timing. The next scenario I want to cover is the ball bouncing away from you. This is a little bit more tricky because the ball is already moving away from you. You need to catch up to it, and that's a little bit more difficult. So what you're going to do is once again wait for the bounce. Right as the ball bounces, you want to start boosting, and then as you're able to get under the ball, you want to double jump under it once again, popping it upwards of course and not out. And what this lets you do is to catch back up to it and get under it. If you don't start boosting early enough, then you won't be able to get back to the ball and you won't be able to get under it. The final situation I want to cover is popping the ball off of your hood in the middle of a dribble. And the way this is performed is by making sure you have control of the ball and it's not bouncing around, placing it slightly forward on your hood, and then taking a big double jump and leaning back at the end of it. This will pop the ball up nice and high for you to start the air dribble. All of these scenarios are rather difficult to get the timing on, but once you have the pattern that I just laid out, it is just a matter of practice. These are the primary setups. Every pop you see is basically just going to be a variation of one of these three. Now that you know the pattern, just work on the timing and you'll have the setups down in no time. This brings us to the second part about air dribbling from the ground that's different from the wall, and that's going to be your first touch in the air. When you're doing an air dribble off the wall, your first touch in the air is more of a corrective touch into the right direction. When you're doing it off the ground, you're not always going to get a pop that's high enough. So not only do you need to correct the path, but you also want to make sure that this touch is up a lot more and you want to keep that momentum of the ball going up. So unlike an air dribble off the wall, you want to really hit this ball up, and this touch up is going to do a number of things. The first thing is it's going to make your air dribble higher and easier to control. It's also going to make it a lot harder for the defense to read because they now have to get up a lot farther off the ground. And this is going to be the only other place that an air dribble from the ground differs from an air dribble from the wall. The last two steps, carrying the ball and finishing the air dribble, I cover thoroughly in my other video, so if you want to learn about those, just click on my air dribble tutorial. Alright y'all, so that is pretty much how to pull off the mechanic. I wanted to give you guys some tips and tricks to keep in mind while you're practicing. Obviously, it's good to get repetitions so you can practice this in a training pack, but I do want to make sure you get that variance and the variety in your training, so make sure to practice it in free play a lot too. Also, make sure that you're not going too fast off the pop because it's really difficult to keep in control and air dribble from the ground when you're going too fast, so try to keep them slow and controlled. Other thing I want you to make sure of is that you're getting good height on these air dribbles, so make sure that your car while air dribbling is above the goal. You want to make sure you're getting height to make these air dribbles really deadly, so keep these tips and tricks in mind when you're practicing this. Alright y'all, I hope that clears up the differences when air dribbling from the ground versus the wall. As I stated in the intro, if you need to learn just how to air dribble, I have a video on that. And yeah, if you did find this video helpful, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to reach out to me, my socials are down in the description. And yeah, have a good day or night.